Hey everyone, so earlier we were looking at this article, The Accidental Invention of the Slip and Slide, and we were really concentrating on asking good questions as I read through the article to make sure that I'm taking in all the information and that I'd be able to share with others later. And I'm going to continue to do that today, but also I'm going to focus in on what might be an important detail versus an interesting detail. So we talked about how this is a nonfiction article because I know that it's filled with lots of facts and details. So there's lots of names and dates and places that are listed here so that I know that it's nonfiction. So I'm going to continue to read just a little bit and again ask questions, but really I'm going to focus in today on what's an important fact versus just an interesting detail. So this next part, the heading says Carrier's son had given him an idea. Carrier worked with fabrics at a boat company. The next day he brought home a 50-foot roll of naga hide. It's a vinyl-coated, waterproof fabric. He laid it on the driveway. The naga hide was slicker and safer than the concrete. Carrier's son had given him an idea. In 1961, Carrier created a patent for the aquatic play equipment. With a patent, no one can sell your invention without permission. Later, Carrier sewed a tube into the side of the slide. A hose could attach to this opening. The tube had small holes along the length of it. Water could be released through the pressure of the hose. Seams stitched all along the fabric also carried water across. It kept the surface wet. However, it didn't get soggy. It may seem like a simple idea, however, it is really genius, says Walsh. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've had some pretty simple slip and slides, but the one we have now has this hose that he's talking about, or this tube, and it's great because when you stand on it, the pressure causes the water to go really high, and it gets everybody soaked. So we love it. Now, I told you earlier that we were going to focus today on looking at those facts and details and distinguishing or deciding which ones were really, really important and then ones that were interesting but not really too terribly important to the article, meaning if I took them out or if the author didn't include them, it really wouldn't change the article or the purpose of the article. So again, the title of mine was The Accidental Invention of the Slip and Slide. So I've already established that I would probably read this article to learn some more about the slip and slide or specifically about how it was invented. So one of the things that I noticed, so for example, the first sentence here says that kids everywhere love the slip and slide in summer. Now, that's an interesting detail, and I agree with it. Kids do love it, but I don't think that it has a huge impact on the article. So if the author had left it out, do you think that it would have changed the purpose of the article? Or do you think it would still be about how the slip and slide was accidentally invented? I think so too. I think that it's interesting, and it does support. I mean, why else would we need a slip and slide? We're not going to slip and slide during the winter. But again, I don't think it changes the purpose of the article. Now, on the other hand, I see another detail that I think is extremely important. So later it tells us that Robert Carrier had returned home from work, right? And it tells us specifically down here that Carrier worked with fabrics at a boat company. Now, I think that this is a really important fact because he had to be familiar with what products might work well for the slip and slide. I think that his experience at his work helped him develop the idea of the slip and slide. I mean, if he worked as a lawyer or a banker, this slip and slide may have never even been invented. How crazy would that be? Now, take a few minutes and I want you to go ahead and read the rest of this article. And as you do, I want you to think about those important details versus some that might just be interesting. And I want you to share those with somebody that's close to you. And then we'll continue thinking about those important and interesting details in this article in another activity real soon. So read your article, find out what you think would be an interesting detail versus something that's really important. And if the author took it away, it might take away from the article itself.